Welcome everybody to Bridge Too Far Tactics, where we try to provide competitive analysis and tactics strategy for Warhammer 40k Killteam. This time we got a battle report between Orks and Dark Elder, playing a Nova Open mission with primary and secondaries. If you are interested in different types of event packs or mission packs, just let us know in the comments below and we'll try and play those packs as well. But for today we got the Orks versus the Dark Elder. As you can see, we already got the lists on the screen, and the Orks are a list that we've seen before on the stream. And this time he's playing with Death Skills, Correction Leader, Power Claw, Boss Snap, three commandos, or four actually. One with a Power Claw as well. They will go into Deep Strike most likely. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Ork boys. So there's quite a bit of horde in that list right there. He's got, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 models there. On the other side we got the Dark Elder. It's got a Hackatrix, Leader, Clayvex, Mandrake, Night Fiend, 5 Witches, and then 3 Witch Fighters. Pretty common build. Interestingly, Mandrake Veteran, curious what he's going to do with a potential veteran move there. Both lists are between 10 and 15 models, so that makes them more of an horde army, but not necessarily a typical horde army where there are no like really strong weapons in there. Both armies got a few models that got some real punch as well. So on first look they are pretty evenly matched. They both have decent board control, can throw 3 models into each corner. So very curious what secondaries they will choose during the game. I don't know them yet, so we'll find out as we watch the game. So let's just dive right into it. Alright, here we go. So rolling up for deployment. And we're ready to go. As you can see, we got 5 objectives, 1 in the center, 1 at the bottom right, 1 at the bottom top, 1 at the bottom left, 1 at the bottom top as well. 3 of the objectives are unfortunately placed below the building, but as we know where they are, so we should be fine. As you can see, the Dark Elves being placed on top of the objective at the right. Most likely there's going to be a Ork placed on the top left as well later on, so we'll find out where they are. We don't know what objectives both armies have, so it's going to be very interesting to see how this game develops. Both players will want to get into melee eventually. But getting the first charge is of course crucial, since you don't know which army is going to get initiative. It might be a kind of 50-50, but one player is smart about it. He might be able to bait 1 or 2 models in and then be able to charge those models because they are closer to his own army. So even with two charging armies, you really need to know how to keep your distance from each other before you dive into the fight. So both armies are just lining up across the field, keeping their options open as of right now. Generally the Orks are a little tougher because they get toughness 4. Then again, the Dark Elder got Power from Pain, of course, starting from the first turn, so they got 6 up, Feel No Pain, and they ramp up with their Power from Pain ability each turn as well. The Orks got a reroll on a hit and wound because of the Death Skills ability and a 6 invulnerable save, which might be very clutch in certain moments and can really help out the Ork player. The Orks in general are quite vulnerable to broken tests and morale later in the game, so that's something to look out for, especially with some of the tactics and also power from pain ability that reduces your leadership. So during turn 3 and 4 it might be really hard to keep up. So right now there's a veteran move going on. That's where we spend the command point. This is one of the common things that that a charging army needs to consider, especially because there are 2 veteran moves possible right now. Alright, as we go into initiative. So the orc here got the initiative, and as you can see, the veteran move allows him to charge right into the Dark Elder. And this is a great move, but it's also very, very risky. Extremely risky. If he's able to make the charge, he can like keep the Dark Eldar into his own zone, which allows the Orc player to take control of the center. Unfortunately, he doesn't make a charge, so he just sticks to the building right there. And that's really unfortunate. So this is the risk of making this kind of move. The Dark Eldar now has free access to charging the Orc, potentially with quite a few models. Depending on the secondaries, he might score a few points there. And he can then use the Orc by consolidating or by piling in to get onto the center objective safely without getting shot. And potentially already getting scoring some victory points where the Orc now can only move up and no longer has any ability to charge. On the other hand, the Dark Elder now has to charge that Orc, and that also poses a risk, because the Orc can perfectly place himself just behind the Orc, as he's doing right now, to allow himself to follow up on the charges that the Dark Elder player might do, especially if the Orc that just failed his charge survives, taking some of the witches with him into combat. It's going to be crucial. And that's really something that's so interesting about Killteam, is how you need to think about the interaction in charging, killing a model or not killing a model, and then having to retreat or having to stand still in the open and potentially getting shot or getting charged for free, or having one of your models be a bridge for the enemy to reach safely into a certain zone. And understanding how to charge and what charges do is so important. So players are measuring right now if the Orc is at the center objective. Unfortunately, it's not. So this is a possibility for the Dark Elder player to hold more this turn if he can get into the onto the Orc, or just run up and hope he might survive, as he's gonna do right here. So it's a really safe play by the Dark Elder player. Just try to run onto the objective. Allows him to either make a charge next turn if he gets the initiative or uses the first move. But this way he scores the objective anyway, hopefully, unless he gets shot at. But since the Orc player has advanced with most of his models, the Dark Elder should be safe, since there are no assault weapons in this list, only pistols. And as you can see, the Dark Elder player is just moving up. He should know that he can score more, depending on the secondaries, of course. But at least in the primary, you can score more safely and then just set up for a really good second turn. And here's one of the Dark Eldars trying to make a charge there. And he made it. Alright, so right here, the Dark Elder that just charged can pile in 3 inches to the other side of the Orc and then pile in 3 inches or consolidate potentially to the objective if he takes out the Orc boy right there. Actually, it's the boss snub that's right there, so that's interesting. Since the boss snub is a veteran, and that's dangerous. The boss snub really can do some real damage with a power claw. Although the -1 to hit versus witches with a 4+ invul in close combat is a little less effective. So right now, statistically, the Orc boys might have a better chance at going through the witches' invulnerable save in combat. But the power claw with the high damage is so important for landing those out of action rolls, especially because with Death Skill's ability you have a reroll to hit and reroll to wound, so you can be pretty sure that at least like 2 or 3 hits are getting through for the Dark Elder to save. Alright, so as you can see, the Orc player has spread out quite a bit, so it's very likely he's got something like engage in our fronts or some kind of positional. The Dark Elder playing is moving up to the center mostly, which means he's getting ready to fight more than some of the other models that the Orc is playing. So it looks like the other Dark Elder player wants to take control of the center as quick as he can and then move from there. Taking control of the center is something that's generally a really good idea, and especially in the first turn. If you spread out early and you lose control of the center, it's really hard to assist from the flanks, since like the bottom where you can see a 1 Orc and the top where you can see 2 Orcs right now, they are so far apart from each other that if either one of those flanks gets attacked by the Dark Elder at the center, it will take them 2 turns at least to get up there. Alright, so let's see what we're doing here. They're spending their command points right now to deep strike. So there goes a Mandrake. And the Orc player is hoping right now that he screened his backline well enough. And it looks like he did. So that's very well played by the Orc player, not allowing the Mandrake to deep strike behind his lines. It looks like the Dark Elder player hasn't done the same job for now. The Orc player has used one of his command points as well to deep strike with the commandos. So right now the Mandrake just needs to like drop somewhere and hope he can get into a fight later on. And here we go. The commandos can drop in the back, threaten the objective. Excellent play. So there's a real pincher move going on right now. There is still a risk though, if the Dark Elder player manages to like take out the center opposition, then the Dark Elder player can easily like walk over the Orcs, because the Orcs are spread out thinly right now. We'll see how it develops. And there's another Mandrake screening a little bit there. So something that you need to think about if you get to drop your first deep strike model is that you can also use it defensively at first to prevent your opponent from dropping in a backline. So for example, since the Mandrake didn't have any options to drop in aggressively, the Mandrake could also have screened out the backfield instead of being somewhere in the center where the orc player most likely wouldn't have been anyway. So think about using reserves conservatively as well. Alright, as we move into shooting. Looks like the orc doesn't have anything to shoot with. So he's taking away the tokens. There's a save from the orc. And that's you need. That's what you need. So the orc player makes a 6+ invulnerable save, and that's what they are there for. And that's the second one. And we move into combat. So the witch attacks with 4 into the boss knob. Let's see. We unfortunately don't see the roll, but there's quite a few hits, quite a few wounds. And there are no wounds through. So the veteran attacks back. And that's no hits. So that's an equal fight. Strangely enough, the Dark Eldar player didn't pile in or consolidate anything. He could have considered to pile in close to the objective and then consolidate back if he wanted to be farther away or move close enough. Alright, let's see. So we got engaged in our fronts. And we got hold 1, hold 2, hold more for Dark Eldar, hold 1, hold 2 for the Orks player. And I believe that's it. Alright, and on to turn 2. Let's see, it's a 5. And the orc is going first. Let's see if they want to use a decisive first move. Looks like he wants, and in the current situation, it might have been smart by the Dark Eldar player to actually charge with his model on the center objective into the orcs that are just right there, because then he can prevent this orc from doing exactly what he's doing right here and just pile onto the center objective and hopefully get further away. Because now the Dark Eldar model at the center objective is a bridge. Like the orc can almost not fill any of his charges because he only needs a 3 or 4, like right there. The orc doesn't make the farthest model, but he can still make it to the closest. So let's see what happens with the charges. So we know the orc player is engaged in our fronts. So he wants to make sure that he does keep a model in each quarter, which he currently has. Right. So another orc that didn't make a charge. Apparently he didn't choose the closest target there for some reason. And there is one orc that goes deep into the 2 witches there. One with shorted and paler, so that's dangerous. 2 damage always hurts if it gets through. And since there are still 2 dark witches like right behind, they can charge. It's very likely the Dark Elder player is in a favorable position right now at the center. The Mandrake is getting charged as well. And so there's no more Deep Strike to be had by either players. So the Orc is deciding to move up the field, which is a smart move, making sure he still has backup for the following turns. He maybe could have moved within 2 inches of the center objective, but well, he's still there. What's going to be really interesting is what the Orc player is going to do with the commandos. They are of course in a safe position to score, like engage in our fronts, but there's only one witch on the bottom right objective. So that is a really good option there. He's going to try and charge there. So let's see. So the commando failed to charge, unfortunately. And that commando was in. And there we go with the other commander. So there were 3 commandos at the back. And that's enough again. And this is a great position for the Orc player. The Dark Elder player may have the advantage at the center of the board. But right here. But because the commando got his charge in here and here, that's like what he needs. Because if he doesn't make those charges, he doesn't have access to reach into the other center. So let's see what the Dark Elder player does. He can either charge the like right here, or he could charge back and protect his own objectives, and then try to clean up or move back up to the center. Looks like he's going for the center. And again, this basically all depends on what his own objectives are. So that's one witch that made a charge. And he's going for center again. There we go. So those are 2 charges in. So as you can see, there's a lot of fighting going on at the center of the board. And depending on who is going to win that fight, is going to decide what the flow of the game is going to be in turn 3 and turn 4. So let's see. I wonder if there's any shooting left. I don't think so. The Mandrake is in combat at the top. So we move to shooting. I don't think there's any. Actually, the witch in the combat with a commando, he does have a pistol. I think both have a pistol. So they should be able to shoot, but both players ignore that. And that's a pretty common mistake. Always remember that if a model has been in charge. Oh yeah, of course, except for the witch. So the witch can shoot anyway because he got charged this turn. Alright, so let's see. So we're going into combat. This is the first one. So hit wounds. This is a pretty smart choice to actually attack the the Mandrake there first because he wants to protect his commando, or rather his boss knob there, as for the Orc player. The order in which you fight is actually really important. Like at the bottom right, this one is pretty crucial because it's about an objective, so I guess I would have decided to fight there first, although the center fight is very, very crucial as well, of course. So you really need to figure out like what models are able to fight, which ones you like want to pile in or consolidate into another objective. As you can see, an Orc gets taken out by one of the witches. Neither player has really used pile in or consolidate to take advantage of their placings. If you are in combat with two models, like the Orc is where the center is going to fight, like this one, he could pile in to like right there and fight both models. Statistically, you have an even chance if you hit both to take out one or the other. But by making attacks at both models, you actually have a small chance that you could take out both as well. So right there where we've marked right now, the Orcs should probably pile in into consolidate into the witches just to make sure they remain stuck in combat. Because now the witch fighter can probably charge next turn. Alright. So we still got lots of combat going on. There's the Zealot going to attack now by the Dark Elder. So that's the Clave Axe. That's this one. Now this Clave Axe is actually out of 2 inch of the objective. He could consolidate into 2 inch of the objective and still stay out of the Orc probably. So a bit of overlook again by the Dark Elder player. He could have gotten more models onto the objective, or in a more favorable position to charge, for example. Like if he moves over to here, you can then charge into this Orc, preventing him from like charging into any of these fights. Well, now the charge is still fairly big charge range. So now the combat specialist Power Claw is going to fight at the bottom right. This is a very important fight as well, because this is about whether the Orc player is going to actually gain an advantage in the hold objectives. And that does get taken out of action. So that's a really big win. Let's see. So we still got the charges at the top side. So those are a couple of more wounds. Saves made. So misses because of the -1 to hit into the Mandrake. And now the Dark Elder player gets to hit back. So it's a flesh wound for the Orc. And something to watch out for with lists like this, where there's 14 or 15 models, is that you really need to think about how many models you can actually not only take out of action, but also just give a flesh wound, as this Orc does get taken out. So the Dark Elder player has a small advantage at the top side of the field right now, as the Mandrake is freed up to move in, charge, fight, shoot even. Both players so far haven't really used any of their tactics. And the Orc player is now nearing the having to take a break test. So that's quite tricky. Now the Power Claw gets to hit first on the boss knob fight. This is crucial. If the Witch gets taken out of action right there, and that's lucky get reroll as well, so he gets a couple of wounds. And D3 damage, that's only one. Ooh, that's a flesh wound. And excellent choice to reroll here. And he's out of action. And this is so big. So the boss knob is now free to charge and save the objectives there. The Witch Dark Elder player currently does control the center objective. Most likely the top and bottom one are contested. So the Orc currently holds more. And the Orc can actually tie the weight Dark Elder player here by piling in. And this is an excellent pile move, consolidate move rather. Really glad the Orc player made this move. So we go to the morale phase. So there's two flesh wounds. Quite a few are taken out. Luckily for the Orc, he's got quite a few friendly models around the ones with flesh wounds, so he doesn't really need to test. He's going to make sure he's safe though. So he spends one command point to auto-pass the nerf test and then gets the other one. Let's see, so the Orc scores the Gage no fronts. He scores Headlong Assault, as well as the Dark Elder player. The Dark Elder player also scores Hammering. And the Dark Elder player actually doesn't score any of his primaries this turn, because they were either contested or controlled by the Orc player. So the score currently is 8-5. This was a great turn for the Orc player. Alright, so very interesting turn here. As both players figure out if they got all their points. The Dark Elder player still has a bit of an advantage perhaps at the center of the field, although the boss knob may be able to do some real work there. As we move to better round 3. And the Orc gets to move first again, and this is great. The Dark Elder player may want to like take a charge with the Clayfax by first moving. So I think this is a missed opportunity for the Dark Elder player. He really needs to, he can easily make this charge and just drop right at the center, and by doing so he can hold down all the models, or a lot of actions by the Orc player, because the Orc at the top won't really get to do anything. He just needs to move up, which allows the Mandrake at the top to then either charge here or here. And let's see, this witch maybe is freed up then as well to like move back or move forward. Another possibility would have been to actually make this charge, even though it's just a common like witch. Being able to fight first at that home objective could be so important against the commando there. Given how like the Dark Elder player needs to like really pull some crazy stuff here in order to really come back in this game. The Orc is now like really gaining control of this turn. Fortunately, that charge roll is not enough to get into the Mandrake, so the Mandrake is still free to make some plays. Let's see how many bodies we got at the center. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orcs around the center objective. There's two common witches, and then one with shard and an impaler, and one clave axe. And I believe the Hackatrix is still around there as well. So we got 4 witches there, and most of the orcs get to fight first now. So the Dark Elder player is in a bad spot currently. He really needs to make some good saves. Another possibility he has is use some of his tactics. He can fall back and still shoot and charge. He could also use quite a few of his tactics to like improve his save or to fight twice. Fighting twice is a great one to use right now. I believe Dark Elder got those. Or to use, I think it's called something with rivalry, where if there's two Dark Elder, like witch fighters close by, you can actually choose both to attack, either at the same time or with more attacks. I'll have to find out what the exact wording is, but that really boosts your combat strength. As you can see, the Mandrake is charging into the center object as well. And the center is going to decide what turn this game is going to take. As we move to the shooting phase, there might be a few models that are able to shoot. We got a pistol going on for the Dark Elder player. And no other shooting is used. So we move to the assault phase. So those are misses. Let's see. So let's see if we can keep up with the combat that's going on. So there's one that has fought already. He doesn't pile in, which maybe he should. He can pile into the Mandrake and the Witch there, disallowing the Mandrake to actually pile in and consolidate close to the objective. And there is another charge. Oh. Apparently there were quite a few command points spent already. Alright, so the orcs are going to attack first. This is the boss knob. Uses a lucky gut reroll, which gives him 2 hits, strength 10 to the witch, 2 wounds into the clave axe. So the clave axe doesn't have a invulnerable save. He manages to make 1 save. Now the damage goes through. That is 2 damage, so he needs to make 2 feel no pain rolls of 6. That's going to be tough. And that's not enough. Here goes the injury roll. Oh, Clayvex taken out. That really hurts. That hurts. That hurts. Yeah, this is like the Dark Elder player maybe should have like realized sooner that he's in a disadvantaged position and used the first move or fight first tactic to take out some of the key targets, like the power claws, very dangerous. And he just needs to get close to the objective as well. Currently the Orc is screening quite well, like right there. So both the Mandrake and the Witch can't really get into the objective. And since the Orc player needs to score engage on our front and headlong assault, which he probably has already got, he's in a perfect place right now. He's going to score more, most likely on the primary objectives. He's going to score 2 of his secondaries. There are more and more witches being taken out, so the chances of the Dark Elder player scoring hammering is getting smaller and smaller. Headlong assault is definitely a no-go, since he didn't have enough models left over to charge with. And we're going to spend a command point here. Apparently there are quite a few more. I think it's 3 right now. Let's probably use some rerolls. Alright, so all charging models have fought now. Here is the Orc with the flesh wound going to fight. So those are 2 wounds. And he manages to make us feel no pain. Roll. And now the witches finally get to hit back. So let's see if they can save the day here. He needs to take out some orcs. Remember though, the orc is also at the point of close to the point of breaking. So if he manages to take out some models or give some models a flesh wound that are not currently have a flesh wound, he might be able to break the orc, and then the orc won't be able to score like as many objectives as he would like to. And also, of course, reduce his combat efficiency, because it would be -1 to hit then. Or would have -1 to hit, rather. So, right now the Dark Elder player is attacking the Orc with the Flesh Wound, which makes sense, of course. He wants to take it out. But he's also attacking the other one, which doesn't have Flesh Wounds, and that's smart. The smart thing to do here. The Dark Elder player needs to like have a miracle happen here. And breaking your opponent is a great start to like really score some like a lot of points really in the final turn, and not if your enemy score anymore. So there are 5 orcs out of action, 2 got a flesh wound, that's 7, so he's exactly at half. So that's so lucky. So again, we're spending a command point to auto pest with the orc at the center. And oof, that's a shaken witch, a shaken oh, there we go, shaken witch, shaken orc. So currently the objective might be just contested. That's unfortunate. Yeah, looks like the boss knob is just in. So he's going to score more. Hold 1, hold 2, hold more. So he's running away with that. He's going to score Engage in our front, headlong assault. So the Orc is currently at 13 as we move into battle round 4. And the Dark Elder player hasn't managed to score any points this turn. That's crazy. And finally the Dark Elder player manages to take or get the initiative. And that's something that he really needs right now. I believe he's also still got like a lot of command points. He should be at 5. Oh, actually, he did score hold 1 there. So now they're figuring out what models are in combat or not. I believe there's 1, 2, 3 witches maybe not in combat. So the one at the top, this one over here. Yeah. These models are still in combat. Only those 2 can fight right now. And the Dark Elder player is deciding to go for some of the targets that are more at the top. Probably hoping to take out a lot of Orks, then pile in and consolidate onto the objective. Let's see what's going on. The Orc's going to move right now. What is the Orc like? So the Orc is in a great spot, right? He's ahead by a lot of points. Actually, he's already won the game, right? I mean, he can only like the Dark Elder player could really realistically only score 6 points unless he's got cut off the head, where he could score 2 or 3 points at once for the secondary by taking out the leader. But the Gretchen is probably too far away. I don't even know where he is hiding right now. So most models are just into combat right now, and looks like this game is pretty much over now. The Orc player is still controlling like 3 objectives: bottom left, bottom right, top left. The center is still contested, probably, depending on what's going to happen with fighting. We got pistols first. The Dark Elder player only controls the top right currently. The Orc player could only score hold more right now, or headlong assault, or his mystery secondary objective. So at most he's going to score 3 more points, or 4, depending on what the third objective is. So nothing happened with the shooting. As we move into the assault phase, final turn, final phase. Let's see what the conclusion of this battle is going to be. We'll see if we can keep up with the fighting here. Let's see. So the Dark Elder player got the initiative. He made one charge, I believe. So this one. And then they're going to fight one after the other. Those are hits. Those are wounds. Oh, and that's a 6. Can you believe it? Yeah, that's not what you need right now. Oh, yeah, this game is pretty much over. Let's see how the Orc cleans up the Dark Elder here. He can take some thief home with him. Yeah, so okay, so we'll already try and see what happened here. So in the first 2 turns, I'd say both players did a pretty good job at controlling their own side of the field. Although the Dark Elder player should have screened better at the should have screened better at his backfield. Like the commando was able to like drop in at the back at too many places, and this just allowed the Orc player to like fight hard for the center still, where it was pretty equal. But he also had a better spot to score more secondaries, especially considering engaging on front, headlong assault. Um, was just a better place to be there. He had easier access to like contesting the objectives, where the Dark Elder player had to win this center fight, and because he was like, a little too close with some of the models, or didn't use first move, I believe, he just couldn't really take over that center fight and move into the orc zone, which witches are totally capable of. Like they're really quick models, especially with the readable charges on the starting from the second turn because of Power from Pain. Alright, so let's see. So everything has been rolled for, and we're scoring the objectives. The Orc is going to score hold more. The Dark Elder is going to score hold 1, as well as hold 2 this time, because he's got the center objective. No headlong assault. The Orc player did get cut apart by taking out the Hackatrix, scoring 2 points because it's turn 4. Or, sorry, cut off the head. There is a hammering point for Eric. So this game is finished. Players are still discussing whether there's a 5th turn or not, but we are only playing 4 turns with the Nova Open mission, so this game is over. Giving the Orc player 16 points and the Dark Elder player 9 points. This is a very decisive win here. The Orc player made great use of his deep striking models, and he did enough to control the center. And there we go, that's the handshake. Well played by both players. The Orc was very close to breaking in the second and third turn already. He had 7 out of his 15 models that were either shaken or like had a flash wound or taken out of action. So that was really close. If you Dark Elder player had maybe play a little bit more to like that kind of like objective, trying to break the Orc player, he maybe could have like gotten away and scored more points in the third and fourth turn. But looks like he was just the Dark Elder player was just a little bit too aggressive maybe by moving up to the center, but just like sticking a little bit too close, which allowed the Orc player to pull a lot of witches into the fight with one model, which meant that the Dark Elder player didn't have enough models to score headlong assault by charging on his own turn because he didn't have initiative. Of course, if he does get initiative, the Dark Elder player is going to like have a way better time. But that's something that you got to take into account. If you position yourself, you need to think about what aggressive move can I make if I do take the initiative, but if I don't have it, like what are the risks of my models being in certain places? Can I retreat into a safer place if I do get charged and like pull away one of the charging models? We'll maybe try to talk later in a tactical video if you want. Let us know in the comments. And as we'll wrap it up. We're going to remove the video here. Alright, so that's it for today. This was an interesting game, I think. You could really see what was like going on. Let's see, I'll just show it. They're having fun with their models. You could really see how the Orc player played really well, controlled his own side of the board, not allowing any deep striking to happen there. He slowly moved up to the center and used his deep strike very well to make sure he scored engagement or fronts. And he set him up. He set himself up well for scoring headlong assault as well because he was spread out on the sides and in the center. So even if the Dark Idol player like charged into either the center or one of the flanks, the Orc player still had the possibility to charge with 3 models probably because he had the deep striking, he had the flanks, so he could always move in from the sides to the center or from the backfield into the center. Um, but also, even if the Dark Elder player had decided to like move up there or move up there and then go to the center or move through, even then the Orc player could have moved right there as well. Alright, let's see. So that's it. Um, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this battle report. If there are some specific like tactical decisions that both players made you would like to know more about, let us know in the comments. I would really like to show you guys like more specifically what choices you have in certain situations, what things to consider, also with some of the tactics that you have as a kill team, um, that open up some new opportunities. There are some ways that you can use to really like smartly move around objectives and baiting your opponent, especially if you have two close combat armies facing each other or kill teams facing each other. Um, there's a great like mind game or tactical positioning game that you can play with both armies. Um, so we'll definitely dive into it later, but let us know what you want to know, what you want to see, what you want to think about, what you want us to talk about. I hope you enjoyed this game. Make sure you hit like or subscribe, and we'll see you in the next battle report. All right, bye bye. See you on the other side.